Hey, ZmanTheVegan here today, or just Zach. And in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 near-death experiences I've had inside my life. The last one is crazy, so if you stay till the end and you hear the last story, you will not regret it. And in these daily vlog videos, I'm doing this to help keep me sober and keep me in the direction that I want to go in life, so I can support my son and become the greatest version of myself. And that's why I am staying adamant, is that the right word? And still recording this at night, and I'm going to continue to try to do daily vlogs. So, oh, there's a donkey. Anyway, here we go. Story number 1, near-death experience. So I was a preemie, which means I was born prematurely, and I was underweight, and the first couple years of my life, I endured a lot of different illnesses. One specifically, I bruised very easily. I forget what it's called, but it has to do with blood cells. Either I didn't have enough red or white blood cells, and so a slight touch would make me bruise very easily. And, gotta make sure I don't fall. So yeah, that was the near-death experience number 1. I actually don't remember much about details. I just know that that happened. And as a premature child, I endured a lot of illnesses and almost died. So, near-death experience number 2. I got kicked by a horse. So, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, in a city, and around the age of 7, my parents moved to this farm. And actually, somewhere around here where I'm standing, yeah, you can't see, it's too dark. I'm staying inside the pasture. I got kicked by a horse because of a poor decision that I made. Sorry, I keep hearing footsteps. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get jumped. It's just a donkey. As far as I know, donkeys will not jump you, especially if there's a fence in between you. Anyway, so I was playing tag with the horse. It was a poor decision. I mean, I was a child, but still, I knew better. I knew this horse was aggressive, and I knew chasing after the horse until the horse turned around and started chasing after me, and then doing that again and again was not a bright idea, but I did it anyway because I was trying to impress my cousins. And eventually, whenever the horse stopped while I was chasing the horse kicked me, and I flew up in the air back about like 5 to 10 feet, actually somewhere around where I'm standing right now. And a helicopter came and picked me up. I went to the hospital for a week. They shoved tubes in me and holes I don't even want to talk about. And I learned to not play with big aggressive animals. So yeah, that's near-death experience number 2. Near-death experience number 3. I was a reckless driver whenever I first got my license. And I got my license as soon as I could at the age of 16. And this one experience humbled me and made me drive much more cautiously. So I was driving down the highway that I live on now at my parents' house, State Road BB. There's no shoulder, just a 2-lane highway. It's a 50 miles an hour speed limit. Everybody goes like 60 or 70. And I was driving. I took my eyes off the road because I was looking for a cigarette butt through the crevices of my car. And I'm digging for the cigarette butt. I'm like, I need my nicotine fix. And then I look up and my right 2 wheels on my car are actually off the road. And then I freak out. I turn the wheel really fast. And then my car does like a 180 and just stops, which was crazy because I was going really fast. Like I was going at least 60, 70, and then did a 180, stopped, and I was actually in the other lane, facing the wrong way. And I slowly adjusted myself, and it was fine, but it was almost like a miracle. I'm not a religious person. I'm agnostic, but just the fact that I was going so fast and then I stopped all of a sudden, and I stopped right at a drop-off. So it just didn't seem like it made sense to the laws of physics. It was crazy. Like the car stopped instead of kept going off the drop-off at like 60 miles an hour. So that was crazy. That humbled me. That made me drive much safer. That's near-death experience number 3. Let's talk about number 4. This one's actually disturbing. and crazy. So this is more recent in my life. I was inside of a band, and I had a drinking problem, as did pretty much everybody inside that band. And I was a lead singer with another guy who was a lead singer, and there was a lot of ego, and the guy was a narcissistic, controlling, aggressive, manipulative guy who just really got under my skin, but I never actually communicated it. So I'm talking about band practice where I'm messing up on the song, and then he would start screaming at me, like at my face, and he would always just, throughout the 2 years that I knew him, he would always know exactly what to say to make me upset, and I never stood up for myself. I'd always be quiet and just be like, yep, all right, I'll try again. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, I'll try again. And just after years of not standing up for myself, and I was being toxic in a different way. I was being too positive, like toxic positivity, I think is what they call it, because I wasn't being real with them. I wasn't telling them how I felt, how upset I was. And eventually that happened. After I was in a very dark point in my life, and I was always prioritizing music. I was always ready to play music and go to our practice space. We had a practice space called PDM. And one night, I had worked an entire workday. It was like 12 a.m. Him and I and one other band member went to the practice space. I hadn't eaten anything at all that day because I was poor. I wasn't making enough money. And yeah, I just didn't have food. So I had no calories in me. And I decided to drink still because I had a problem. Everybody else drank. And eventually that turned into me getting blackout drunk. And everything that I know that happened that night, he told me, so I don't really believe all of it necessarily, but a lot of it, he can't really lie about it. And I also had a recording on my phone, my old phone, that got stolen, and I really hope that it's somehow like in the Google Cloud, or in the future I can use AI to find this recording, because I've never listened to it all the way through. It's a 9-hour long recording. And the parts that I did listen to were very disturbing, because basically what happened was he left and I was by myself for a minute because he drove back to his house to get vape juice. And at this point I was already trashed. I was already turning into somebody else, and all of my demons were coming out. And for some reason I turned off all the lights in this place in PDM. And on my phone, on the recording, I'm basically talking to the darkness like, come on! I'm facing the darkness! Bring it! Like, I don't even know what I was talking about, but for whatever reason in my mind, I decided to turn off all the lights and scream into the darkness saying, bring it. And then he walked in on that, and he's like, dude, what's going on? Like, you look like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings right now. And I just started being aggressive, like, oh yeah, like passively aggressive, almost turning into aggressive. And for the next 5 to 6 hours, this man was sitting there with me, kind of like egging on my aggressiveness. Like I need to take responsibility that I was the one who was turning aggressive in this moment, and I was letting my demons and my resentment for this man and the thought of finally standing up for myself take over me, and the alcohol and drinking on an empty stomach. But basically it got to a point where I was telling him like, come on, punch me in the face, I can take it, punch me in the face. And eventually he punched me in the face, and then I forgot that I asked him to punch me in the face, so my nose is bleeding, and I'm like, dude, why'd you punch me in the face? And like, basically for hours and hours I'm in this state where I'm just really aggressive, and he's just there kind of egging it on, until eventually I completely snap and I just charge at him screaming. And he runs out to his car or something. I don't know the exact details, but okay, phone just died. I don't remember the exact details, but basically I was screaming, charging at this guy, and he ran out to his car, and I kept charging at him, and then I chased him down, and I guess eventually he opened up his car door after parking like a block away, and I ran up to the driver's side. I started trying to choke this man, and he put his car in reverse with his door open, And while I was choking him, he started to reverse his car, which caused his car door to hit me, make me fall back, hit the back of my head on the ground, and then the tire of his car ran over my abdomen. I don't remember any of this. I actually woke up in the hospital like, what the heck happened, with like just completely blackened eyes, a cut down my abdomen, a cut on the back of my head, blood oozing out of it. Had no idea what happened. And there was one point where I woke up mid-surgery and just grabbed a nurse's arm and said, please pray to Jesus for me, which is really weird because I'm not religious. I guess I was just scared at that point that I was going to die, and that if Christianity and all that was real, that I was going to go to hell because I never gave myself to Jesus. But yeah, so basically I woke up in the hospital like, what the heck just happened? And I called him, and he basically told me that I freaked out on him. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, I recovered. I got out of the hospital, and I was kicked out of the band. But in a way, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I got out of that toxic relationship, and I actually evaluated myself, and I started to go in the right direction. Now, eventually, I started to go back in the wrong direction, and I started to drink again and just not make the progress that I wanted to make. But if I were to have stayed at that band and continue those habits around those people, I think that I wouldn't be where I'm at now today, where I'm actually making progress and taking responsibility. Because I'm not around people who are drinking daily, people who are trying to get inside of my state of mind and just from an ego trip try to control me and just... Okay, phone died again. Time to wrap this up. Basically, I'm blessed to be alive. I'm blessed that I'm able to take responsibility and be away from toxic relationships, and here I am. I actually have more near-death experiences inside my life. I just couldn't think of them all, but please leave a comment down below if you've had any near-death experiences, or if this is relatable to you at all. And thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe for the animals. Woo!